Today we're introducing a significant new experience on Instagram called teen accounts.
In mid-September, the head of Instagram posted a video.
Today we're going to move teens automatically into teen accounts, which are going to have a set of more restrictive and protected settings.
The change targeted teenagers and was designed to keep them online.
Built-in limits for who can contact them and the content they can see.
Instagram accompanied the launch of teen accounts with a media blitz. Its spokespeople were trying to get out in front of the story, since the company was already dealing with a backlash over the harm caused to adolescents who spent too much time on social media.
The question really is, why now? Why has it taken this long and this much pressure for Instagram to begin changing its policies and its practices?
Previn Warren is a lawyer at the US firm Motley & Rice, the co-lead counsel in a new lawsuit against the social media giants.
And the truth is, they could have done this years ago. What's changed is the amount of scrutiny that they're under, in part because of this lawsuit, and in part because parents across the country are sick and tired of this, feeling like they have no control over how their kids interact with technology, particularly these social media platforms.
Especially in the case of kids. They have a responsibility to protect underage people on their platforms.
Taylor Little is a recovering social media addict who says that they were hooked on Instagram, TikTok, and Tumblr. Little is one of the many plaintiffs in the case against the social media giants. Along with many others, they are suing these companies.
One of their biggest demographics is kids. They're always going to be targeting that group, and they're always going to be purposefully, constantly putting in new features that are more and more addictive, that more and more purposefully target that psychology.
The key word there is purposefully. The aim of the lawsuit is to establish intent to prove that tech giants are deliberately making their platforms addictive. Whether it's the endless scrolling on Instagram, the lure of those short videos on TikTok, or the algorithms baked into social media sites that serve up what we like and often what we don't like to keep us engaged. The argument being made is that it's all addictive by design. We contacted both TikTok and Meta with this allegation. A TikTok spokesperson said that the company believes digital experiences should play a positive role and that they continuously invest in screen time management tools and resources for their younger audiences. Meta did not respond. For those working with young people, the danger is that teenagers, especially those with unfettered access to smartphones, are the most susceptible to social media addiction.
What happens earlier, especially in that tween age, say the 11 to 14 or 15 range, is that literally the communication channels between the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making brain, and the limbic emotional brain are about as far apart as they're ever going to be in our lives. We're really highly sensitive to dopamine and other reward chemicals during those years. During the teen years, we're really focused on the larger questions of who are we and who are we going to be in the world. While technology and social media can be a fabulous place to explore some of that, there are people who, when they don't have it, feel anxious and depressed and withdrawn and don't know how to function.
I started using Instagram when I was 11. At that time, I was pretty depressed. I was pretty anxious, and Instagram was kind of a nice distraction. And then very quickly it became something a lot darker, and my usage spiraled. I started getting eating disorder content, which is basically just like a how-to guide on how to have an eating disorder. I was very drawn to this content, despite feeling, I think, disturbed by it a lot of the time. And what I eventually had to do was delete the apps, because if I was feeling uncomfortable or bored or sad or anxious or anything other than just total contentment, I would be opening that app before I even thought about it. My thumb just went there.
Taylor Little's story of social media addiction is by no means unique. Hundreds of other plaintiffs are involved in this case. Many sued the tech companies individually, but now all of those cases have been consolidated into one $5 billion lawsuit. No one in the US has ever successfully sued any social media platform for causing addiction and mental health damage to children. In fact, the very idea that social media can be addictive is relatively new. When social media sites like Orkut, MySpace, Facebook, and Instagram first emerged, they had promise. They offered the possibility of connecting users. As the years passed and those platforms evolved, they prioritized monetization, knowing that if they couldn't hook those users into spending more and more time online exposed to their ads, that they would eventually fizzle out the way that MySpace and Orkut did. And so logging on and staying on had to be built in to the user experience.
I would say most of the developers probably know and knew at the outset that the features that they were designing into the platform were likely to be habit forming. And that's part of the way the capitalist system works. You're trying to get people to buy your product. You want to make it something they're going to come back to over and over again. You know, developers of platforms used a wide body of research over decades to understand how to influence human perception.
Platforms that came out later, like TikTok, just skipped to the bad stuff. They didn't even waste time with the social networking, social good, community building. They went straight to the short form video and the addictive feed. And then that became the model that everyone else had to copy and follow. It's not like when it was a Facebook feed of just your friends and you were getting updates about their babies and their dogs. We don't operate in that environment anymore. There was a time when to talk about social media addiction almost sounded crazy, but people are now seeing the truth, especially as internal company documents have come to light because of whistleblowers who've had the courage to step forward.
One of the biggest leaks came in late 2021, courtesy of a former employee at Facebook, Frances Haugen. She had gathered countless internal documents detailing how the company had prioritized profit over the mental health of its users. She even testified before the US Senate.
The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people.
Haugen's testimony, together with others, will help form part of the evidence in the case against the social media companies.
One of the things that these court cases are doing is drawing attention to the various roles that not just platform developers, but schools and families and individuals have in creating a better balance. The fact that schools are starting to say, yeah, no, this isn't working during the school day, and they're coming up with creative solutions that balance all the different constituency needs is a good sign to me. I mean, I think that's part of it. Classes and early education for young people about how to recognize when they're starting to go down that scrolling rabbit hole. And instead of staying here for the next half hour and feeling worse and worse, how do you get off? What are some effective strategies?
If there was a toy, right, that kids were all the rave about, and almost every kid in the country was obsessed with this toy, and this toy was hospitalizing kids and killing kids, first of all, it would be recalled. They would have to change it and make it safer. And then it would go out with a black box warning. And parents would know what they were getting their kids into when they let them have this toy. All we want for social media to change it so it's safer and have the necessary disclaimers, the necessary statements so that parents are aware. I'm really grateful that I survived those years of my life. There were very clear moments where I almost didn't, and there are lots and lots and lots of kids and teenagers that are in the exact same place.